that was my experience getting laid off from my job a few years back. And getting into questioning like myself. Am I smart enough? The shame, all of that comes with it. But when I was able to shift my perspective to this is an opportunity to explore another career path that I've always wanted, another area that I've always wanted to explore, that changed everything. And
Yeah.
I realized, oh, this was divine guidance. This was what I was meant for.
Yeah.
Um, because there always is. There's always another door opening whenever one closes. And we just have to allow ourselves to see that.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
Yeah. So I think it's important to go back to that getting caught up in it because I too have lost a job.
Yeah.
I didn't lose it. They fired me, right? And while I did nothing wrong and I was a good person and right, like their perception of me and losing that job had meaning in this physical reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything flooded me from what other people think of me to what he's telling people about me to, right, like all these stories, and it's all mental, but it all
Yeah.
has emotions attached to them. And I know at the time I knew I was guided to start my own business, but I didn't have the confidence after
Mm-hmm.
getting stuck in I want to call it a roller coaster, right, of ups and downs that you go through when a devastation in life hits us unexpectedly.
Yeah. And these
So,
are, go ahead.
yeah, this is really valid because right now,
Mm-hmm.
humanity is seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things going on in the world that, especially if you're caught up in the news, if you're caught up in the drama, if you're pointing fingers, finding right and wrong, wanting to play in that field of judgment, it's living in us. And then what is in here is what we're creating in our reality out here.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to see that when we're in it. Believe me, when I was in the drama of losing, getting fired from my job, I hate that word losing because I didn't lose it. I know right where it was. I was going to be back there tomorrow, like, right. But yet displaced from it, cut off. And it was like, it feels like an attack on your dignity, on your character, on your everything, right? At such a deep level of woundedness. And it's hard at that point when you're in that energy to say
Yeah.
shift your mind to the positive.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I did tune into, I know I'm here to start my own business. And every time I get closer to making decisions to move in that direction, it was like, what makes me think I got what it takes? Look what just happened here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was debilitating, right? Like that, it's a self-sabotage. It's going to come right back and sabotage everything you're trying to create if you can't make the shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of times we're put in a position almost where we're forced to grow,
Mhm.
but other times we're not,
Yeah.
right? And so how would someone, if they're not in a situation like that, where they not lost their job, but they're disconnected from it, something changed, how would somebody, do you think, recognize the need for growth? Or what does that even mean, needing growth?
Yeah. That's a really great question because while I support that topic with leaders,
Mhm.
I'm going to be real honest with you. No one needs anything,
Mm.
right? They're fully equipped with everything they need.
Yeah.
But a guide, a coach, someone who's going to help you through where you're at, is going to see parts and sides of you you aren't able to see from where you're at.
Yeah.
They're going to help illumine these other aspects of you that are shining through to that coach, to that guide, to that, right? To that
Mm.
other person who we often perceive ourselves completely different than the world perceives us. We're harder on ourselves than anyone else ever is. And when we realize that, I feel like the Johari window. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it was how I was first brought to the understanding of there are aspects of me. And it's a window pane that's divided with a horizontal line and a vertical line, both, right? So it's divided in four panes, and each pane represents a part of you. There's a part of me that I encourage other people to see, right?
Mhm.
And I see very well. And there's a part of me that I have aspects of myself that I really don't want other people to see. They're sort of private or
Mhm.
secretive, or they're not always the best in me, right? Like, and I don't want people to see those. But
Yeah.
there are aspects of me I can't physically see, but others can.
Mm. Mhm.
And then there are aspects neither one of us, others or me, can see in me.
Yeah.
And I think when we think about that trajectory, we start opening up to there's way more here than I have access to moving through alone by myself. And it really does take a firm, I want to use the word commitment, but I don't think commitment's strong enough, a devotion to
Mhm.
seeing, and you have to be really devoted to this. That means aware and ready in every moment to reframe something, to start supporting yourself in that devotion to being a better version of yourself or to stepping into qualities you know would benefit yourself and those around you,
Yeah.
right? And I'm talking about qualities like patience, like kindness, like, right? Just simple, easy qualities, but they change the whole trajectory of your reality when you embrace them, embody them, and start to live them. And
Yeah.
that's the real experience, right? When you are moving out of the grief is trying to embody something for just a moment until it becomes that new reality for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. And also just to be able to look at yourself
Mm.
from a point of view that maybe you weren't aware of before and consider um, another viewpoint. So I think what you're saying, like having a coach, someone that sees another part of you, you really have to be open to receiving what they're saying and willing to look at yourself from that other perspective. Because a lot of times we kind of get defensive. We're more trying to protect our ego. And so if somebody approaches us in a certain way and illuminates something we might from another perspective that we don't see ourselves from, we can get really defensive and try to protect that instead of seeing it from another viewpoint. So I think it just takes a lot of courage to be able to really consider that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful add to this conversation because that's probably the biggest block to personal
Mhm.
growth is,
Yeah.
and I want to say that these defensiveness or denial, they're core wounds that run through the
Mhm.
universe, right? They're not specific to you or to any one person. These are shared wounds. And I think when you work with a coach or someone who's skilled to help you in this,
Yeah.
um, they gently and lovingly help you see your defensiveness
Yes.
without pointing their finger on it, but they help you to tap into what you felt in that moment. what was
Yeah.
coming up for you before you spoke, right? So that you can see yourself more clearly.
Yes.
And that to me is the real gift. That's the magic in working in a circle with other people that are all elevating together, or working one on one with a coach or a trainer or guide that's helping you see yourself more clearly, is
Mhm.
they're asking questions
Mm.
that cause you to reflect before you answer. So
Yeah.
they're asking you to get in touch with you, to be embodied in this
Mhm.
vessel that you've been given as your transportation for this life excursion, but yet they're doing it to empower you.
Yes.
And
And I
that's
think you can
completely
feel
different.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.